All right, don't be shy. Don't be shy. All right. So, of course, let's jump back into it. We already talked about the purpose of the medical record, which is 1, going to be patient assessment, 2, intervention, and 3, communication. Patient assessment, intervention, and communication is going to be the purpose of the medical record. But not only that, you need to know that the medical record is a legal document. It's a legal document that is serving to record what exactly is happening. Talking about the planning and the care that goes into the patient. So it's a legal document that records what kind of planning we did. Okay, be a SOAP note. We'll talk about that a little later. And what kind of care we gave them. Because everything should be documented. Remember, if you didn't document it, it didn't what? It didn't happen. Okay? Remember that. Okay? But you also need to know about medical records is that when we store documents in it, it needs to be in chronological order. Okay? And so what the fridge tells us chronological order now, you may be asking me. And chronological order means it's done from the date or in a particular series, okay, based on the time and date that it was done. So in most medical records, it starts with that very first paper, okay, that you put in the medical record. Let's say the first SOAP note that we did. But we're not generally going to, when we have another SOAP note, we're not going to lift that first SOAP note out and put that second SOAP note under it. It's in chronological order from bottom to top, in which to say at the very bottom should be the very first thing that we talked about with them. And at the very top should be the latest thing that we talked about with them. Because that kind of makes sense, right? We're generally, when you're looking, or when a doctor is looking at the medical record, they don't want to look at the very first thing that they talked about with the patient ever. They want to look at the very last thing that they talked about with the patient ever. So in that sense, it's in chronological order. It's in order by date. Chronological order. And the next thing I want to talk about is a type of medical record that's oriented by the type of service.
Problem oriented.
Not problem oriented. In this case, this is going to be source oriented. Okay, for those of you if you're lost, okay, let's try to break that down a little bit more. Okay, we need to understand the difference between a problem oriented medical record (POMR) and a source-oriented medical record, SOMR, okay? A source-oriented medical record is going to be organized by the type of service that we're giving them. And then a problem-oriented medical record is going to be organized by that patient's particular problems. Okay, so types versus problems. Okay, source is the type of service. Problem is the problem itself. Let's organize this by your problems. But within that, I tell you that you need to also understand those abbreviations, POMR and SOMR. You need to know that POMR is problem-oriented medical record. You need to know that SOMR is source-oriented medical record. Now let's talk about SOAP. First off, SOAP allows us to get a patient's what? Chief complaint. Very good, very good. Chief complaint. And SOAP is actually an abbreviation, an acronym in a sense. Okay? That stands for what?
Subject, objective, assessment,
Yes, all right. So subjective, objective, assessment, and plan. Subjective, objective, assessment, and plan. Here we go. Subjective, objective, assessment, and plan. Let's understand what I'm talking about when I say SOAP or when I say subjective, objective, assessment, plan. We need to understand what each and every one of those things truly are. Subjective is going to be what the patient is telling you, Okay? What they're describing to you, the things that they are saying to you is going to be subjective. Generally, we cannot see these things. Okay? Like, yes, in a sense. In a sense. Like if a patient comes up to you and says, my knee really hurts, so I can't see that your knee really hurts. Okay? So them saying, my knee really hurts is subjective. While objective is going to be things that you can see. Where is the proof? Okay? I wanna see what's wrong with you. Okay? A great example of what's going to be objective is something that you do every day, vitals. Vitals, that TPRBP, all of those things are objective because they're solid. I know that they're there. I know that you didn't change your temperature. I know that your pulse will represent pain. I know that your blood pressure will represent stress. I know these things. So this can give me proof. Okay, but moreover, objective will really just be those solid things, those things that you can touch. Those x-rays and laboratory results are going to be objective because they are not going to change. Okay? They're not based off of an opinion or what the patient is telling you. Or it is in a sense, but what they're not, or really what they're telling you on the inside, what their body is telling you. Okay? So you need to understand the difference between subjective and then objective. And then assessment is going to be the diagnosis. Okay, based on looking at what you told me and then what I saw, here's what I think is wrong with you. Thus, a diagnosis. Diagnosis. And then the P is going to be for plan. What's the plan for the treatment? Okay, what are we going to do to fix this problem? Because you guys ever watch House and they say, oh, well, you got this, and that. Well, they usually end up wrong. Oh no, it was cancer or your finger or something random like that. But they always follow it up with what they're doing. Oh, well, we're going to prescribe you this random drug to do this. Okay. That's what we call a prognosis, in which you say, what's the treatment? What's the plan for how we're going to fix what we said we think is wrong? That kind of makes sense? Anybody's not with me? You okay, Ms. Jones? You okay, Ms. Scott? You okay, Ms. Ramirez Martinez? You okay, Ms. Whipple?
Yes.
I don't care about you. I'm just kidding. You all right, Gold?
I'm not okay.
You all right, Gold?
I'm fine.
Yeah, all right, there we go. Let's keep moving. You're going to have a lot of questions about soap. Okay, you need to truly understand that. I would say a good quarter of this test is about soap. So you need to understand soap in detail. Okay. So now let's talk about. I gotta jump down to the part. Let's talk about release forms. Okay. Now, release forms are going to be in that typical new patient packet, but particularly we need to talk about release forms and their association with insurance. We cannot release information to the insurance companies, okay, unless we have consent from the patient saying you can release this to them. So that's why that release form is so important, because if you want to get PAID, okay, paid, then you need your patient to sign that release form. Otherwise, you cannot legally send off that information. So make sure that your patient signs a release form. Let's talk about color-coded systems, okay? The thing about color-coded systems is that if you're going to have a color-coded system, everybody needs to know. Everybody needs to know that color-coded system. The doctor, the nurse, the medical assistant, the receptionist, everybody needs to know the color-coded system. Okay? So who needs to know? Okay, there we go. Let's talk about out guides. And this is something you should have read about. Okay? But an out guide is extremely simple. An out guide is just something that is basically states we have taken this record out of the filing package. We've taken this record out of the system. Okay? And the reason why we want an out guide is because let's say Ms. Martinez goes and pulls Gold's file. Okay? But I need a Gold's file. And I'm going there. I just knew it was right there. If there were no out guide, then we would say,
what
will we be looking for? Where is it? Okay, but the out guide tells us, hey, pull this. I have it. Okay, it's taken out. All right, so that's why the out guide is so important. When we talk about, we're going to talk quite a bit about the alphabet, I don't know if that's a word, but the alphabet system of filing. There are several things that you're going to need to know about it. One of those things is that it is the most numerous, the most commonly used, okay? The most commonly used medical record filing system. And moreover, that it's broken down into units. The first unit being, I believe their first name, the second unit being their last name. So TB would be my alphabetical broken down system.
So the first would be the last name and the
Actually, apologies. The second unit in the alphabet filing system is going to be the last name. And thus the first unit will be the first name. Yes. Okay? Okay?
Yeah, he did.
So the second unit will be the last name. The first unit will be the first name. That kind of makes sense, right?
Okay, yeah, but
Kind of like your initials.
See now.
Yeah, your initials are T or me, T, B. Okay, Preston Brown. And it's the same for medical record filing systems using the alphabet. So like you're lost. This is so simple. I'm struggling with explaining it. Okay, what's your name? Jamie Guy, right? So on a medical record, when we go in and we're filing your medical record by name, by alphabet, okay? There's 2 units, okay? The first unit is going to be J, second unit is going to be G, as in Jamie Guy. My first unit is going to be P, second unit is going to be P, as in Preston Brown.
So first unit is the first name.
Yes, and second unit is the last name.
Okay.
That's W.
I understand.
LM.
But I don't understand because the filing is last name, first name.
Okay, but that's when you're writing it on there. But think about and get a picture of the medical record.
So
Okay, and you see those big letters on there. You have 2 big letters on there.
okay.
And those 2 big letters are units,
Okay.
in which they are abbreviations of your name. Okay, the reason why we don't put your whole name like on big letters on the outside of your record
Because it's easy to access.
is because that's a typo problem. So we break it down into units in which to say PB, LM, SW, JG. Okay, everyone in the office knows that JG means that that's someone with the first name J and the last name G. Okay, and then we can look closer.
G.
Okay,
When you want to look in the file, yeah.
right. You can go to the G section.
To look
Okay,
at the file.
and JG. Got it. Let me look at it because there may be a Justin guy, James guy, blah blah blah. Let me look at it a little closer. Okay, Jamie guy. This is the one I know. Okay, that's the alphabet filing system. Make more sense now?
A little bit wrong.
Read about it. Let's talk talking more about the medical record. Just about this whole test is going to be over medical records. But talking more about the medical record, okay, the physician owns it. Okay, it is his medical record.
But the patient owns the information.
Patient owns the information, the physician owns the record itself. And we should say, like in the Navy, for example, when they talk about medical records, okay, those medical records belong to the Navy. Particularly, it is managed by what we call a CO, commanding officer. Okay? The physician has final say on the medical record and is responsible for its upkeep. So even though you may be the administrative assistant that's working on it, okay, and that's managing it, the physician ultimately owns it. It's like that arrowhead ball with block. If sorry about that. The physician owns the medical record. Okay? He owns it. Okay? He's responsible for its upkeep. He may assign you to keep it kept. Okay? But let a problem happen with that medical record, and they're not going to say, oh, well, it was your fault this morning. Okay? They're going to say it was Dr. Brown's fault because he owns it. Okay? That's just like somebody living in your house. They mess up your house, it's still your house. That's messed up.
Right.
Okay? So, that's you just need to know physician owns the medical record. I already said the alphabet system is the most common type of filing system. You need to know that. Tickler files, we talked about this yesterday.
Upcoming events.
Upcoming events, okay? Absolutely. It's going to be for upcoming events. But you also need to know about tickler files is that they should be organized and checked frequently. Okay? Organized and checked frequently. Let's talk a little bit about names. You remember those 10 rules from yesterday? Yes? You need to go back and read it tonight. The whole thing. Okay? Read it. We're going to talk about it a little bit now, though. Okay? For example, when we're doing something for a company. Okay? We're doing something for a company. Let's say the Preston Brown Organization. Let's just say that's the name of my company, the Preston Brown Organization. When we file that down or whatever, when we file that, the is not used. Okay, that's like just pretty much nothing. Okay, so we're going to use that next following word in which to say that next following word would be Preston. Just happens to be that. For example, if you had the Harris Office Supply Company, Harris Supply Office Company, Harris Office Supply Company, okay? So you skip that the. I would particularly read about how you would organize a broken name, like De La Pena and things like that, okay?
How you do it?
How you would do it is something I want you to read about.
I know how to use it because I missed it on the thing. You're gonna skip to the next word, the abbreviated. I'm not abbreviated word, but the capitalized word. It was like Brenda or Belinda or something, there was somebody, but that was lowercase.
Read about it. You're on the right head.
You gonna create an acronym?
Huh? You just need to know
How to file.
how to file
Yeah.
someone with a broken name. But anyway, read about it. It's in your book. It's like 2 pages.
Up under the business.
Read that whole thing.
Yeah, you gotta create an acronym.
Okay, so next thing we want to talk about, let's go on to the next part of our review. So for your little review templates there, you can turn the page. Okay. So you need to know about a quarter of this test is going to be about open and closed-ended questions. You need to know the difference between an open and a closed-ended question. A closed-ended question is going to be used when I want a short, brief answer. Okay, either a very yes or no or a very brief answer. That's the only time I use closed-ended questions. But moreover, a closed-ended question would be Are you okay today? Yes. Well, yes. Or let's see. Another close-ended question might be, are you an only child? Yes.
So
No.
those ending questions are questions that you answer yes or no.
Or
Well,
short.
or they are either just a very brief answer. Okay, very brief answer. I'm looking for a one-word answer or a short answer. That's particularly one word or short answer. And more often than not, these are going to be yes or no questions. Okay, but sometimes it can be, someone may just give you a one-word answer, and that's all you want. Okay. What's your first name? Brandon. Whatever. Not that I thought your first name was Brandon, but Anyway. All right. And then you need to know about an open-ended question.
That requires like an explanation
Right.
or.
And these are kind of questions you want to ask. Generally, especially when we're doing SOAP notes and things like that, we want to ask open-ended questions so that they can explain it to us. Okay. So, a question like, describe your pain for me, would be an open-ended question. Okay? Or, how has your appetite been, would be an open-ended question. Okay? Have you been sleeping well? Or have you been sleeping is an open-ended question. Okay, even that. But more, we need to talk about communication. Communication, or I guess we need not to talk about communication in general, but we need to talk about effective communication. Effective communication. And when you are effectively communicating, okay, you are sending and receiving messages. Effective. Okay? I know that kind of uses the word within the definition.
So it's
Okay.
effective communicating.
Right. Effective communicating is effectively sending and receiving messages. We're going to talk about that in general, or we're going to talk about that in detail a little bit more, because we need to learn to be good listeners. And we also need to make sure that we are good speakers. Okay? And that kind of breaks down into a lot of subcategories. For example, verbal and nonverbal communication. Okay? Nonverbal communication might be, okay, verbal communication might be words that you say. But these can even not just words that you say, these can be sounds that you say. That is a type of verbal communication because you're using your voice. Or like, let's say if y'all was just talking, or Miss Morrison was cussing the storm, and then I walked in behind her, she didn't know, and I said, that's a type of verbal communication. Let her know. She really gonna be paying Martha Dimes today. Okay, go ahead and sign a check. All right. So, but moreover, verbal communication, you need to know that it's also the tone of your voice. Okay? Y'all heard of that? It's not about what you say; it's about how you say it, right? So that's a big part of verbal communication. But moreover, the speed from which you talk. If you're talking too fast and doesn't understand you, then there is absolutely no point in talking. If they have to ask you to repeat it 17 times. It's like I said that really fast. Get that? Right. All right. Or sometimes we can use verbal and nonverbal together. Okay? That's a great example. Notice I just sighed. Okay. Or, okay. So, you just kind of need to make sure that you are communicating effectively. Okay. Alright, I'll try to hurry up. Alright, one of the things I want to make sure that you do, and this kind of goes into nonverbal, but I want to make sure that you maintain eye contact with the people that you're talking to. If you're directing it at somebody in particular, I want you to maintain eye contact, because that tells them that you're paying attention, okay, to them particularly, or on the receiving end. That means that you're paying attention to them. When I look down, or when I talk to you guys and I see you looking directly at me and making eye contact with me, that tells me, okay, subconsciously, you're listening. Okay? Or if you're like writing, that also. But eye contact is important. You need to know how to spell this word. Counsel. Counsel. It's the only way you spell counsel. Okay? And counsel means to advise. Okay? So not just know how to spell that word, know what it means. Okay? If I am counseling you, I am advising you on a course of action. Like, for example, if you were failing my class right now, then I would need to counsel you on what I think you need to do in order to not fail my class. Okay? That's another word you need to know. Stationary. Stationary. That's how you spell that word. Means not movable. Okay? This is stationary, not movable. With anything is movable with enough force, okay? But it's stationary. It's meant to be there, okay? It belongs there. Don't move this, okay? But we need to talk about how to become good at not just sending the messages, because we talked about verbal communication, non-verbal communication, but receiving the message as well. And which is to say, we need to talk about being a better listener. Okay. How can we be a better listener? I want to make sure that you avoid interruptions and distractions. I know Facebook is just going off, or you on Instagram, everybody, you got 106 likes. Woo! That's amazing. But when you're listening to somebody, the time to check your Instagram is not then. Okay, so I want you to avoid distractions. Moreover, I want you to use passive and active listening skills. Passive and active listening skills. That is to say that passive is going to be like when you're making eye contact with that person and you're nodding, or you're okay, or you're using those active listening skills. All right, yeah, I understand, but I don't really get why someone would do something like that. Oh, girl, let me tell you, blah, blah, blah. That's active listening, okay? Just that little short response. Yeah. And then I want you to make sure that you concentrate on the message. Have you ever half listened to somebody you really wasn't there. You was just barely hearing what they were saying. And maybe that was some time with Mr. Brown. Maybe that's even right now for some of y'all.
It's hard not to hear Mr. Brown.
Yeah, my voice rejects, I know. But just making sure that you concentrate on the message is important. But do you think that you should write down every single word of the conversation or the discussion? Do you think that is a good listening skill?
It is
on what we talking about.
Every single word?
It depends on what we talking about.
every word, but the base. What means the most important.
Right. So yeah, if we're having a discussion from which I'm teaching you, then yeah, write down the main things. But if you are copying down that book, you will not receive it. You're not receiving what I'm saying. Okay? Because wait a minute, can you go back? You said and if or blah blah blah. What?
And an if is a very important word.
Right. Very important word. But understanding oculus dextra is more important than the and the if. Okay? So making sure that you, writing down stuff is good. Okay? It shows that you're listening and so on and so forth. Literally writing down every single thing that person said is counterproductive to being a good listener. Take out the key things.
The right eye.
OD?
Yeah.
Right eye.
Sure.
No, I'm not.
I
You're not?
I'm not. OD is right. OS is left.
Oh, you is.
Oh, you both.
There you go. You got it.
And he stepped on your toe today.
I'm gonna
Step
say
on yours too.
OD.
Why he just
Right.
tried us with it. You both.
So let's talk about handling complaints, guys. Let's talk about handling
Take
complaints.
all complaints serious.
Yes, take them very seriously. Let me see. If there is a complaint being made, you need to make sure that you're informing your office manager, okay, and or physician. You need to make sure that, like you said, take every single complaint seriously.
I'm
And then-
writing this down.
Oh, you are? Oh, you writing every word down? And then reassure the patient that the complaint will be investigated. We care about your complaints. We will try to figure out what's going on.
I read this last night.
But we do not want to interrupt the physician with a complaint only if a lawsuit is threatened. Okay? Wait a minute, doctor. This guy just said he was going to sue us. I'm in the room with a patient. What are you doing? Okay? No. Okay. We that's the only that's not the only time we want to address the complaint up the chain. Hey, the threatened lawsuit. Now I guess we ought to tell somebody now. Okay? No. We address it at the beginning. We can eliminate. Okay? We don't want to get to lawsuit. Lawsuit equals bad. Okay?
You said do not notify the physician if he knows.
No,
I'm saying,
not in the middle of a.
well, don't interrupt the physician only if a complaint of a lawsuit is about to be made. Right. So I want you to interrupt, or I want you to tell your office manager and or physician, okay, for every complaint. We need to address every single complaint. Okay? But I don't want you to only tell the physician or office manager if someone's threatening a lawsuit. Of course, we're going to tell them someone's threatening a lawsuit, but that's not the only case from which we'll tell them.
So you tell them everything.
Everything. Mhm. They said it's cold out there. Okay? And if the office manager's like, that's just how it's got to be. Tell her every single time. It's cold out there. They saying it's cold out there. Yes, ma'am.
Another kudos way to get points at your office when you're working, if you do not have a complaint box, just have one made. And then when they complain, you say, you should put that complaint in the complaint box, in your form, but it's your idea, so you need to push that. Oh, I can't wait to start that work.
I can't wait for you to start back. Just kidding. Nonetheless, you just need to make sure that you're addressing every complaint effectively. Do you need to yell at aging patients?
No.
Okay? Just because they're hard of hearing doesn't mean that you need to yell at them. You just need to go to the good ear, okay? Get on a little closer, okay? All right, and really try to say it effectively. So, maybe a little slower. Okay? You do not need to shout at them. Mm-hmm. Oh,
You heard what I said.
You heard me. You better take that medicine.
You
Sometimes
spit on me.
you have to
Don't
be.
spit on me. Why you spit that?
Amen. So let's talk about developmentally delayed patients. Okay. The important thing to note about a developmentally delayed patient is that we want you to treat them as they're at their maturation level. Okay. If they are 50 and they have the minds of a 12-year-old, then you treat them as a 12-year-old because in their minds they're a 12-year-old. If they are,
In 2016,
huh? Yes.
teach them as a 12-year-old. You're not 12-year-old right now.
Well, 12-year-olds act like 25-year-olds. So, it truthfully, please treat them as an actual 12-year-old. Lord, I hope I don't ever go through that. But moreover, with people with limited understanding, we need to make sure that we are explaining things slowly as it goes along. Okay? Now, people with limited understanding, you're doing that zone out. I know, zone out. I saw your brain elsewhere.
Oh, there you go.
I saw it. Okay.
She been smiling a whole lot over there. I've seen it too.
I'm always,
Okay, so
Limited understanding. The thing about a patient with limited understanding is that you need to make sure that you give explanations slowly and explain as they go along. Okay? So this is, let's say if we're doing your analysis on a patient with limited understanding. Okay? We're not going to give them all the instructions at the beginning and just say, hey, good luck. We need to give them step-by-step instructions slowly so they understand.
and then have them
Okay.
demonstrate it forward.
Demonstrate or repeat. Exactly that. And that's, I want to say that limited understanding can be people who are mentally impaired, but it can also be people who are technically minors, like people who don't speak English are technically considered minors. Okay? They have a limited understanding of what you're saying. And so therefore, we need to make sure that we explain things slowly, and in this particular case, make sure we demonstrate as much as possible. Because they are probably not understanding only like 1 out of every 16 words you're saying. Okay, so make sure you explain slowly and as they go along. Okay, limited understanding. With sight impaired patients, okay,
Make
you
sure.
want to ask if they need help. Do not, oh, come on, let me help you up. Okay?
And they can be serious.
Exactly. Okay? Ask, do you need help? Or how can I help you? Okay? And now, don't ask, you need any help? Nah, okay, bye. Alright? Don't do that. Do you need help? Genuinely ask. Do you need me help? I would be happy to help you. And if they say, no, I think I can, stay right there. Let me, just watch, okay? Let me make sure we don't need help. Because they may need help as they follow, okay? And you done left because you was like, well, they said they need help. Okay? So, let's talk about factors that reduce effective communication. Okay. Do you think language barriers reduce effective communication? I would agree with you. Do you think cultural differences can reduce effective communication? Okay. Do you think geographic idiosyncrasies? Oh, y'all don't even know.
What is idiosyncrasy?
Geographic idiosyncrasy is, you're in the South, so you like fried chicken.
Stereotype.
Okay. And yes, this is a generality that you think about someone because they're, let's say, you live in California, you must love the surf. That's a geographic idiosyncrasy. Okay? So those do actually reduce effective communication because you're assuming that assuming is spelled A-S-S-U-M-E. Okay? Now you can take that as you will.
Is out yourself.
That's right.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Out of you and
Don't
me.
start.
Now you spell the word. Is that the same? You saying the word?
Girl,
What?
stop. He spelled it too, so that means he gonna put this something out too.
No, ma'am.
So you trying to get
A-S-S-U-M-E is how you spell. It's how you spell assumed. I didn't spell anything. I said take it as you will. You took that as you would.
She trying to bust me.
All my extra money goes to March Downs anyway.
Still
this
gonna build
one
somebody a house.
You missed the whole scenario. Y'all see Sharita there, y'all. Y'all see this.
A-S-S-U-M-E.
That ain't what she said. She got you to get the UME in now.
Ain't y'all know with 15 feet,
I
look, they get my car early,
I spent
taking a leave.
marching on over here, little purple button don't even match your outfit.
I guess it's Easter, it's the basket. He be driving that bucket hard.
Okay, Mr.
Bring
Brown.
it back. Hold on, y'all. Bring it back. I want to talk a little bit more about handling complaints correctly, patient complaints. Handling patient complaints can prevent lawsuits. They can keep a good relationship with the patient, and they will help you meet the guidelines set forth by Medicare. Okay? Medicare says you need to address complaints. If they are complaining, you need to address it. Okay, so if you saw all of those things, I would select all of the above because you need to do each and every one of those things. Okay? Or it helps with each and every one of those things. Almost finally, okay, a treatment plan, okay, in which say treatment plan is really going to be like the P, right? Plan. And so, okay, a treatment plan should take into consideration a patient's level of intelligence. Okay? A treatment plan should take into consideration a patient's cultural beliefs. Okay? You can't tell this patient to take their medicine at 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock if they're praying for an hour at 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock. It just won't happen. So you got to take those things into account. Okay? And we also need to take into consideration the patient's disabilities. Okay? How can we ask this patient, or how can we effectively advise this patient that they need to take, 5 of these pills every day and they are paraplegic? Which means they are paralyzed from the neck down. Okay, well, wait a minute, we need to make a more involved treatment plan. Advise CNA or whoever the person's family members to, hey, they eat this pill at this time, this pill at that time, this pill at that time. Okay? Or otherwise a person that's mentally impaired. Okay, we need to take that into consideration. So that's a disability. But we do not need to take into consideration the time that it will take to explain the treatment. Okay? That doesn't need to be in the treatment plan. Breaking down how long it's going to take me about 45 minutes to explain this, so let me put that in the treatment. I could care less about how long it's going to take you to communicate that. As long as you can communicate that. As long as you communicate that, then we are right. Okay, these following words, litigation, holistic, rapport, with maturation and disability, are words you need to be able to define.
Whatever holistic is all patient needs. Rapid is a relationship between patient, physician, and staff. Maturation is developmental delays, whether it is hearing, but
well, it doesn't necessarily have to be developmental delays. This when we talk about maturation, we're looking at their growth and development process.
Okay, growth and development.
What is the process of their growth and development? Moreover, including physical, social, and emotional functioning. Okay, as you get more mature, okay, you are obviously physically getting more mature. You are socially getting more mature. You are being able to interact socially with your peers, and you are emotionally more mature, which means you ain't crying about everything. Well, Mr. Brown said it's cold. I said all I said was cold.
Oh, really?
And I just want to cry. Okay.
You got a bad
So be able to explain litigation, which is lawsuit. Holistic, once again, like you said, is going to be the care involves all the needs of the health needs of the patient. All of them. Emotional, economic, all of those things. Spiritual. Okay. Rapport. That's right. It's all about the relationship. Okay. an effective relationship that considers both physical and emotional needs. You want to have a good rapport with your coworkers. You want to have a good rapport with your boss. You want to have a great rapport with your patients. Okay? Because they are considering your physical and emotional needs, or I mean your physical and emotional needs, and you are considering their physical and emotional needs. That's a good rapport. Okay? And then disability, I don't know if I said that, is going to be a physical or mental impairment. Okay, you have physical or mental impairment. Any questions? Questions, comments, concerns, equivocations? Okay, I will try to have this posted for you in, let's just say,